As Los Angeles braces for the fifth night in a row of potential rioting, thugs decimating, destroying the city, shameless Democrats continue to egg them on with their incendiary rhetoric.
The Department of Homeland Security, under the leadership of the so-called Secretary Kristi Noem, is a complete and total embarrassment.
And now they are deporting people for obeying the law.
ICE has indiscriminately been conducting violent raids in California and illegally detaining people without warrants.
But it is obvious that ICE and GEO, the private prison company of Adelanto, believe that they are above the law, and it is obvious that they have this attitude because Trump believes he is above the law.
Well, we have a clear distinction. The Republican Party presenting itself as the party of law and order. Congressional Republicans launching new bills to do just that, including Senator Ashley Moody introducing a new measure that would enable states to assist in federal immigration enforcement. It's called the Ripple Act.
She's also introduced the Remove Act, which requires removal proceedings of illegal aliens with notices to appear to be concluded within 15 days. Senate Homeland Security Committee member, Florida Senator Ashley Moody joins us now. As Attorney General, Senator, in the state of Florida, you were incredibly active and really at the forefront of trying to push back and fight against the open border policies of the Biden administration. Your reaction first to what you've been seeing out in California.
My reaction is what you're watching, the chaos unfolding in LA, that is a report card on Democratic leadership. In fact, I watch who watches this. I know who watches the shows. You have great ratings. It's not just Republicans. It's people that want to talk about policies that make sense for this country and for the stability and success of this country. That's not what is happening in LA under state and local leadership. And I am telling you, for this to work, for there to be true civilized society living under a rule of law, you have to have security and peace within your community. And if your leaders aren't getting that done, if they're not talking about every day what they're doing to course correct, if you're seeing this play out on the television, those leaders do not need to be in office. They do not deserve your trust or the responsibility. It shows incompetence and certainly the lack of will to keep their communities and states safe.
Senator, there is a great argument that we should have the rule of law regardless of the situation of a particular immigrant. But there's obviously this big debate going on in the media on whether the people being targeted by ICE are violent criminals or whether they are productive people who've been here a long time illegally. Again, I think the rule of law should prevail in either case. But when you're looking at ICE operations and the focus of your legislation, is it more about going after violent criminals or more generally people in the United States illegally?
Well, we're certainly presenting legislation to try and help the Trump administration remove expeditiously those that are here in our country illegally that have committed crimes and are a danger to our communities. So I've introduced that legislation, and I've also just rolled out legislation today to give state and local authorities expanded resources to help timely do that while we beef up the manpower of the federal government, as President Trump is asking in this new budget request. So, you know, we can make these proposals all day long, and we'll continue to do that to help the Trump administration. But as long as you have weak, ineffectual, incompetent leaders like Gavin Newsom, and the mayor of LA, you are going to have this continue to play out, because what's their go-to when something happens? Blame the president for sending in additional resources to secure the community and protect law-abiding Americans. When we pushed gang members that are not here illegally out of the country, what's their reaction? Go and visit them and demand that we bring them back to the country.
Okay,
I mean, instead
Senator,
of standing up forcefully for Americans, they're standing up for criminals and crime and chaos, and that cannot happen.
Okay, we want to move on to another topic, and that is another Chinese national arrested and charged by the Department of Justice for allegedly smuggling biological materials into the U.S. a PhD student from Wuhan, as it turns out. The woman is also accused of making false statements to officers and deleting the content of her electronic device 3 days before arriving in the U.S.
Her suspicious packages were sent to the University of Michigan laboratories weeks after 2 other Chinese nationals were charged with also smuggling dangerous biological pathogens to the same university. Senator, you recently introduced a bill that would halt student visas to nationals of the People's Republic of China. The woman arrested or charged recently had pledged allegiance to the Communist Party of China, and the Communist Party knows where every Chinese national is at any given time if they're out of the country. Does it require such strong, tough action that you're suggesting we take?
Of course it does. Right now, the CCP requires, by law, every Chinese national to participate in intelligence gathering to assist the CCP. That's in black and white in their law. So why in the world would we be inviting and welcoming more students to come here after we continuously catch them in the act? Taking pictures of our military bases, stealing information from our universities, trying to smuggle in bioweapons. I mean, at what point, and I'll go back to how you started the question, again, we're seeing this happen. If you keep saying again, we are going to welcome in the destruction of this nation and certainly the undermining of our national security. So I don't understand why it took a brand new senator coming in to introduce legislation to say, guys, they are requiring by law all of these students coming over here to steal information, and we don't know what else. You have to do something. At least let's cut off the visas that's inviting them here every year. And remember, 300,000 Chinese students are invited here to come every year. And until we stop that, we're going to keep starting out these interviews with you saying, again, we've caught another one. It has to stop. I'm urging my colleagues to pass my Stop CCP Visas Act.
Okay.
We have to put an end to it. It's insanity.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator
Great
Ashley
to be with
Moody.
you.